Welcome everybody to the 2022 Town Council Candidate Forum, sponsored by the Florence Independent and the Greater Florence Chamber of Commerce. And I need to move over, so I thought you were just going to use my voice. So, everybody, that's a great example. Please turn off your phones. This is being live streamed on YouTube and channel 11 by the town, so hopefully we can get some good audio and get all the candidates well known around town as we move forward towards election season. Before we start, there are some dignitaries in the audience that I'd like to recognize. Former Councilwoman Karen Wall is with us. There's a gentleman sitting way in the far back that is former mayor and former council member, Tom Rankin. And to my right, I see current council member, Johnny Mendoza. Okay, we're gonna get started. We wanna be mindful of your time. But again, please keep the claps and the comments and any kind of noise down a little bit. We are live streaming it. We want the people online to be able to hear. To start off, I'm going to ask Jeff Graves from the town of Florence to talk a little bit about Proposition 459.
Thank you, Roger. Hello, everybody. I'll be brief so we can get to the main event. Good evening, everybody. My name... Oh, yes, thank you. We're filming, aren't we? Got it. Always pay attention to your IT folks. They make everything work. So my name is Jeff Graves. I'm the communications manager for the town of Florence. I've been with the town for about 7 months, and my family and I moved here about 18 months ago, back last January, so proud to be a member of this community as well. If you've been to our website or social media lately, you may have seen the town talking about Proposition 459. Who's heard or seen something about Prop 459? Any? Okay, my boss is in the room. You guys are making me look good. Okay, appreciate that. Okay, so for those that haven't, you're in the right place because I'm going to just do a quick crash course on Prop 459. So Prop 459 is a proposal to increase the town's current state-imposed spending limit. And it's going to be on your primary election ballot this August on August 2nd. And so if approved, Prop 459 will provide local control to meet local needs by allowing your elected representatives on the council to set the town's annual budget instead of the state of Arizona. Who knew the state actually limits how much Arizona cities and towns are allowed to spend each year? Excellent, okay. Yes, so in Arizona, all the cities and towns are limited in terms of their annual spending, and the town of Florence is actually running up against our current state spending cap. And what that means is, even as our revenues increase, the state will not allow the town to spend those additional revenues and resources on needed infrastructure or better services for our citizens, which, as I mentioned, reduces our local control and restricts our ability to program the costs and projects in our annual budget needed to prepare for the future. With that, I'll wrap up by showing our quick 2-minute video on Prop 459. If you have any feedback or questions, I'll be here after the meeting, and I'd be glad to chat with anybody and help answer and clear up any confusion or answer any questions you may have. So with that, I'll click play on the video, and like I said, I'll be here after the event if anyone has any additional questions. Thanks. Hi, I'm Jeff Graves, Communications Manager for the town of Florence. On August 2nd, you'll have an opportunity to vote on the town's proposed permanent base adjustment, also known as Proposition 459.
If approved, Proposition 459 will provide local control to meet our citizens' local needs and top priority, such as clean and reliable utilities,
a strong and diverse local economy,
and top-tier public safety services.
Proposition 459 will not raise existing taxes, impose new or additional taxes, and does not allow the town to spend more than it receives in revenue.
Put simply, Prop 459 won't cost you a dime when it comes to new or additional taxes.
If approved, Prop 459 will increase our current state-imposed spending limit and allow the town to use revenues we are already receiving.
This will help us avoid borrowing to purchase items like our new fire truck, which we had to do last year to stay under our current expenditure limit even though we had the cash on hand.
Costs for all town core services must remain under state-imposed spending. This includes operating and maintenance costs for water and wastewater,
as well as spending on police, fire, community services, local transportation, and economic development.
If Prop 459 is successful, the Florence Town Council will continue to adopt a balanced budget in line with our annual revenue, so the town will remain fiscally responsible and our budget process will continue to be open to the public.
If you'd like to learn more, please visit our website or join me at an upcoming community outreach meeting where I'll be answering your questions on Prop 459. And remember, get out and go vote on August 2nd. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to get started now. My name is Roger Beatty. I'm with the Greater Florence Chamber of Commerce. My co-moderator today is Janet Perez from the Florence Independent. And we're going to get started. Let's get to know these candidates. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to answer the question. We may ask follow-ups if the questions need it, but we have a whole bunch of questions that we have listed and some great questions from you all. So hopefully we can get through them and we'll get started. Starting off, how about Cassandra Sherm? Tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're running.
Can you hear me okay? Am I good? Okay. All right. My name is Cassandra Sherm. I am 46. I have 3 children. My oldest graduated from Florence High School about a year and a half ago. My middle one will graduate this coming year, and then my younger one is entering Florence High School this year. So we've been in the Florence area for 8 years, but we've been in the Pinal County area for 18 years. So we've seen a lot of different growth and things in the area. I'm excited about what's coming next. I'm the oldest of 8 kids. I've been married 20 years. My husband served in different areas in the community. I'm also part of the community emergency response team in our area, which is called CERT. If you are not familiar with that, we can chat about that at a later time. I'm very involved in the community. I've been an educator. This is my 20th year teaching. So I've seen a lot of changes in education, not just in the Florence area, but all over Arizona. And that's kind of me. Did I answer the question?
You did. Thank you very much. Why are you running? You have about a minute to tell us why you're running.
Oh, why am I running? I want to be a voice for the people. I feel like there's so many changes that need to be coming about in our area, and we need to have people in our area that can be a voice for the people and what is best.
Okay, thank you very much. Next, Jose Mo Maldonado. Tell us a little about yourself and why you're running.
Thank you, Roger. My name is Jose. A lot of people know me by Mo or Maldonado. Been in Arizona 6 years now, originally from New York City, but I've been all around the world. I'm a 20-year Air Force vet, civil engineer, so I basically know some stuff. And I also work at the prison as a maintenance tech, so I know some stuff too. I have 2 kids here in Arizona, and I have 3 abroad. I have my son in the crowd. He goes to Florence High. He's going to be a sophomore, and I just had a daughter graduate also from high school. So I'm American Legion District Commander. I've been the post commander here at the American Legion locally. I won in 21. I got Volunteer of the Year. I was nominated by the Chamber, so thank you for that. I'm very involved in the community. A lot of people know me from different events. And why do I want to run for council? I just want to take what I've learned in my 47 years and taking it over from the veteran side and now using it as a guide and bringing it over to the town side. I want to make Florence a better place. When I used to deploy, that was my job. I used to go and make things better. So that's what I want to do for Florence now. Thank you.
Thank you, Jose. Mr. Graves, are we done? Okay, thank you. Next up, Nicole Bucciolato. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're running?
Yes. So my name's Nicole Bucciolato. I am 40 years old, and I've been pretty much a lifelong resident of Florence. When I was 20, I did build a house in Coolidge because there were no houses being built here at that time, and I didn't want to give my money away in rent. I wanted to buy. So I lived in Coolidge for 4 years and quickly came back to Florence. And during that time, I still hung out here, I still did everything here, and I still worked here. I started out working at the prison at 19. At 25, I went to the Pinal County Sheriff's Office, where I stayed up until 2 years ago when I took a job as a diversion officer for the Pinal County Attorney's Office. I have 3 children, and my husband over here in the audience, Piero, and we've been together almost 17 years. We have a 15, 6, and 7-year-old, and we work, we play, we live. My husband has a business here. All decisions affect us in some way, and I would like to help guide Florence and get ready for the future, because whether we like it or not, it's coming. 3,500 houses will be here in 5 years, and I can see what we need by living here. This long I've been able to see it change, and I've been able to see the adapting that we've had to do with all the growth, and I would like to help be the change for the future and give some valuable insight to the council. Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you. Michelle Cordes, can you tell us about yourself and why are you running?
My name is Michelle Cordes. I have lived in the town of Florence for going on over 8 years now. I originate from Colorado, grew up in a small town, Pueblo, Colorado, and then my teen years in Commerce City, Colorado, which is an industrial area, and then my adult years in Littleton, Colorado, or Ken Carroll Ranch, if you're familiar with Colorado. I have 2 children. One is 28 and one is 17 and a senior at Florence. So he will be graduating in 2023. When we first moved here, this is the only place we even looked. We didn't look anywhere else. We did exactly the opposite of what a realtor will tell you to do and explore around. We fell in love the minute we got here, and we set shop. We moved into the community of Anthem because we had our young son, which was in 4th grade, and my ex-husband's son, which was an adult with disabilities, and we needed a community that would support him more than any of us, and it gave him the ability to walk around and have parks and all that stuff. So that's what put us in Anthem, but I fell in love with the historic part of Florence, especially Main Street. I love our old buildings. I love talking to people that invest in those buildings and just the history of Florence and all of that. When I ran originally, and my stance is still the same, our children are our future, and so we need to make sure that we're leaving a legacy that they will want to continue. And when I ran, there was nothing for my son to do, and I wanted to make sure that before he graduated from high school, there was a reason for him to stay in Florence. And instead of saying, you know, it's time for me to move on because there's nothing here. There's still some work to be done, and so that's why I'm running again for re-election, so that I can finish what I started 4 years ago.
Thank you, Michelle. And Judy Hughes, tell us about yourself and why are you running?
I'm Judy Hughes. I am 65. I'm an oldie here. We moved here in 2012. My husband was the police chief at the time, so we moved here from the west side of Maricopa County. I have 2 sons. I have a 32-year-old and a 42-year-old son. We have grandchildren. And we came here when I have been on the business end for many years, and I actually then served on the council, or for the Chamber of Commerce. I was the executive director. I've served on a couple of the boards here, and then I opened a business on Main, and then sold it, and sat for a little bit, decided what I wanted to do, and there were some things that I would have liked to have seen change, and they have changed. So that put me on the council 4 years ago, but with COVID and everything, we were in a reactive state since COVID, and so there are more things that I would like to at least get it steered for the future.
Okay, thank you. Next question will be by Janet.
We're having some audio trouble, so
Turn it on.
make sure nobody else gets hit the button there. Hey. Hello, Judy. I'll start with you this time since you. How would you describe your civic involvement in Florence? How have you contributed to the civic life here?
Okay. Like I said, I was, when I came here, I was on the Chamber of Commerce board for 2 or 3 years. Then I was on the IDA board. I was very active because I've been working in the police department. So I just got to know people. And I love the people. Downtown, I mean, everybody comes through downtown. It was a nice way to get to know people. So I think then I became the chamber executive director for a little bit. And then my passion is in entrepreneurism. So I went back and opened a store called Secondaries on Main, and had that for a year and a half, and then sold that. And then I think that it was good for me to go on boards to get to know.
Okay. Well, thank you. And just let me encourage you to move the microphone closer to yourself because you're coming in and out, and I want everyone to hear what you said. Michelle, same question. What civic involvement, what has your civic involvement in Florence been?
Well, my civic involvement, I'm a business owner, and but beyond that, you'll see me everywhere in Florence. I'm always volunteering my time for one of our business owners, for the Chamber of Commerce, for charity events or anything like that. So typically that's how you find me, is just giving of myself and trying to make a better impact on our town and to be a positive person in the town and try to celebrate our achievements that we have made. I also serve on several different boards and commissions that are assigned to me through being on the council. All of mine actually are outside of town. It's the East Valley Transportation, something like that. It's a really long name, so I can never remember it. So I serve on that, and that's making sure that our roadways and any highways or anything like that, that we stay on track and stay focused and fight to get them to come to Florence so that we have better access to services. And then also I serve on Pinal Partnership and attend their meetings, and am a participant in many more state-type events that help bring attention to Florence and make sure that Florence is always at the table.
Okay, you have a few more seconds if you want to describe
Girl,
more of
I'm
the
good.
commissions. You're good, okay. She has spoken, she is good.
You're lucky I got that.
Now next, thank you for doing phonetic on your name because I was having trouble with it. Nicole Bucciolato.
Yes.
Yes. Same question for you. What has been your civic involvement in Florence?
So a lot of my civic involvement, I worked at the jail for 14 of those years for the sheriff's office, so I was behind the walls a lot. Then I started being able to do community outreach for the sheriff's office, and that's when I really started being able to get more involved in the community. We did veterans programs, we set up neighborhood watches. I would work with the schools, go in and read to the kids, teach about good touch, bad touch. We have sponsored a lot of the leagues around here, the Little League program. We've sponsored kids for that, football boosters, pretty much anybody that walks into the restaurant or walks up to me in town, we sponsor their children for something because, as it's been said many times so far tonight, it is about the children. A lot of it is about the children. I adopt a senior every year at Christmas time for the senior center to give back to them because there's a lot of people over there that do not have family, do not have spouses, and we like to give back to them as well. And I'm excited to be, if elected, to be able to start taking part in even more than I'm already doing outside of, what I already do. So, thank you.
Okay. And I feel like I don't know you well enough to call you Mo, but I'll still do it anyway. Mr. Maldonado, same question to you. What has been your civic involvement in terms of panels, commissions, that kind of thing?
In the 6 years that I've been here, I hit the ground running. I became post commander overnight, unexpectedly. But I took the ball and I ran with it. I made the club a non-smoking. That was me. I had a target on me, and I took that, and I took ownership of it. And with that, we raised the numbers of the club, and we doubled it. A lot of folks wanted it to be more family-friendly environment for the veterans to go, and for their families, and we did it. And I had the help of many folks. So that's just one of the things that I've done when I first got here. I go out to different posts. I go out and I teach kids the right way to fold flags. I teach them etiquette. There's a lot of things that have gotten lost throughout the years. And one of the things that we teach our kids is those lost things, like, how to pay proper respect. We go out and we put flags on the veterans' graves. We teach veterans what their rights are, because a lot of veterans don't know what they're entitled to. The biggest thing nearest and dearest to my heart right now is in Coolidge. We have a veteran transition center. There's no place in Pinal County that houses vets that are in need. You have to go to Phoenix or you have to go to Tucson. So that's what's nearest and dearest to my heart right now, is raising money to get that up and running. Every year we do what's called a stand down, a Pinal County stand down, where we have veterans come in and we help them out. And we get them going in the right direction. Because a lot of them, that's all really what they need, is they need direction. And now I just want to do that.
And that's a
Everybody
chirping
else.
sound you'll hear when your time is up.
Thank you.
Thank you. Cassandra, if you could answer the same question. What kinds of civic involvement have you had in the town, commissions, boards, that kind of thing?
All right. So I've taught in the charter, public, and corrections level. So I've taught preschool all the way up to inmates here in Florence. I've been teaching a long time, but we also like to do community outreach programs as well and volunteer in the community. So before COVID happened, there used to be a Florence Comic-Con that would be here. So my family, we dress up in Star Wars costumes and try to bring smiles to people's faces. So we've done like the cancer walk. We've done a lot of different events, not just in Florence, but in Arizona, to try to bring that community sense to our children and to other people that we're involved with. I'm also part of the community emergency response team, like I mentioned before. And there was a deployment today helping out in Maricopa, doing a fire. We've had 2 fires in the last week, I believe, and also doing rehab, teaching our team how to do that for the firefighters. We're also working very close with Pinal County. We got a trailer and we got a truck and we got different things that we can be deployed not only in Florence, but also in the outskirts here. We do a lot of the community events that are here in town. We've done the historic home tour, Country Thunder, the car show, just a lot of things that are happening in the community. So I just try to stay involved and serve and help to do the best that I can.
Okay, well, thank you very much, all of you. And so Roger and I don't look like we're playing whack-a-mole. I'll also do the next question, and I'll start with Cassandra. What do you think should be the town's priorities?
Ooh, that's a loaded question. Anybody else want to answer that? No? All right. Well, obviously growth is the biggest thing that I've heard from the community, talking to people. What do I feel about it? How do I feel it's going to go? Like Nicole mentioned, we have 3,500 homes that are going to be coming in the next few years. So we need to embrace that growth, and ways that we need to do that is to make sure that our public safety is where it needs to be, that we have the numbers that we need and the facilities and what we can to support our town and our representatives. The town building is going to have to expand once we grow and become bigger. The roads are going to have to improve better. Just a lot of things are going to have to grow and change with the town as that growth and water and all those things come about. So I know those are a lot of the soft topics right now.
Okay. Mr. Maldonado, same question.
Territory Square. All right, those two words, Territory Square, what does that mean? Okay, does anybody know what that means? Okay. All right, so Territory Square is a plan on building up the flood zone, building it up, and then uniting North and South Florence. What better thing to do than to unite the division that we have right now? Everybody's always talking about Anthem, you got North Florence, South Florence. Let's bring it together, okay? Let's get the parks and put them down there. Let's get the flood zone raised. Let's get pathways. Let's get those green belts. Let's get people out here moving, you know? People want to move. People want to do stuff. Let's do stuff, right? Let's make Florence the place where you want to go do stuff. Yeah, you have F Mountain. That's good. That's a good start. But let's build on that. Territory Square.
Okay. Territory Square, I'll repeat that. Ms. Buccellato, same question. What do you think the town's priorities should be?
I think our priority right now needs to be to bring in businesses and to be able to help retain those businesses within our town, because with businesses comes money for the town, comes our general fund. You know, a lot of things can come from a business besides helping a family with their business. And I think we need to start looking at more programs for our youth and elderly. We do have the senior center here, which does amazing things, but there needs to be more activities outside of there for our seniors as well. And aside from what the Park and Recs does already for the kids, we need more activities for the youth that maybe don't play sports, because there's a lot of sports activities in town. And I too have a son with special needs, and he does not play sports, but he would be so thrilled with, you know, a couple activity centers or somewhere for the youth to go here. You know, after 7 p.m. at night, once it gets dark, the town goes dead. And that makes me sad, because when we were growing up, it was booming. There were some night activities for people. There were bars. There was a teen center for the youth. There was batting cages, an arcade, and that really brought everybody together. If you couldn't do something during the day, then there was at least options for you to do something at night. And I think we really need to build off, you know, historic Florence businesses over here, but we also need to get some good things on the Anthem side as well, and start filling in with some good restaurants and some stores to shop at. We have just a little dollar store here, and you know, sometimes you go in there and it's bare. So I think we really need to start listening to what the people are saying, because I also agree we really need businesses in here.
Ms. Cordes, same question.
I apologize for my cough. It's just like this dry little, and nothing is working right now. And I've asked everybody for a throat lozenge. So if you have one, I'll take one. For me, I think that, and the answer changes day to day, because it really depends on the day and what's on my mind when I'm asked this question. But the thing that our town suffers from, and has for years and is going to continue to suffer until we can get on the right track, is infrastructure. And we all want businesses, we all want all this stuff to come, but we are not ready for those things to come here yet, because we have not done our job on infrastructure. In the past, council, in my opinion, has gotten off track. And, you know, it's easy to get swayed your focus from one thing to the other. And because of that, we're now suffering some of the consequences of that, because we allowed ourselves to get Territory Square should have already been done. There's a lot of things that have been on the plate for a long time. And so I know that as a council member, I've worked hard at trying to get us back on that track, so that in 5 years, when somebody else is up here running, or 4 years or whatever, they won't have to still fight that same battle. So infrastructure, because without it, we can't bring businesses and more houses and things like that here.
And your take on it, Ms. Hughes?
Well, I think it's great that we're the safest city, and that's been something that has been there for quite some time. Oh, okay. I'm facing this way, and everybody's this way. Down here. Huh? Oh. So anyway, I want to make sure that we keep that designation as the safest city. Second is the employee compensation and retention. We are losing employees because our pay is so under what all the other communities around us are paying. And I think that is a huge, huge concern. Then, of course, I think Territory Square is very important, but I think we're still in the zoning. We're trying to get the zoning district at Territorial Square. So that's even, and that's done in 8 stages. So we're going to have a few years of doing that. And we do have to further our infrastructure. We have aging. They've done a lot since I've come on, but we don't have infrastructure to expand out. So I think that's important.
Okay. We're going to start talking about a little bit of our historic heritage here. And we've all talked about downtown and how important it is to keep building it and hope that we can bring some of the businesses back. But we're going to ask first, why is it important to preserve Florence's historic heritage? Nicole, we're going to give you a chance to start off first.
Thank you, Roger. I think it's very important because that historic heritage is what brings people here. That's what makes this a home for a lot of people, and preserving that is huge, because if we didn't have that, what would set us apart from any other town at this point? Because we are still a smaller town compared to some around here. So if you don't have that historic heritage, if you don't preserve that, we don't really have a lot to offer on bringing people in. That funds a lot of businesses. That brings in for the historic tours, for even Country Thunder, all those things. This was picked because of the historic heritage here. And I think that's huge. And I think that needs to be preserved. And I think we need to work really hard on that. And it's nice to have different districts in a town. If you go to Gilbert, they have a historic district. They have the new district. And it serves all purposes for all people. So I think it's very huge to keep that.
Okay. Thank you. And I do know you well enough. Mo, what's your opinion on keeping the Florence historic heritage?
Thank you, Roger. History. I learned a lot so far since I've been here. 75 years, McFarland, the GI Bill. I should have known that. I should have known that was here, but I didn't know it. I learned that. We had a big parade. We had a big thing to do downtown that brought in a lot of folks. And a lot of people learned just a little bit of history just with that event. 100 years that the American Legion's been active. We brought a lot of folks together and we taught them that history. History shouldn't be erased. History is something that you should look back on, learn from, preserve. If you don't preserve it, it's going to dilapidate. And it's so much easier to maintain. This is what I do. I maintain. If you don't maintain something, it's going to crumble. We've had the pleasure of having a lot of folks, for example, at the Legion, we had a crumbling wall, and they didn't want to see that wall crumble. And they came together and they made it happen. So that's just one of the things when people come together and don't want to see that history erased and don't want to see things the way they are. So I think we're on the right path, but more needs to be done to preserve that history and more events so people can learn about that history. What greater disjustice are we doing our kids if we don't teach them that history? That's all I got.
Okay, thank you, Mo. Cassandra, let's talk about Florence's historic heritage.
All right, I like this question. So my children have been to Florence High School, and it was interesting because we went and we toured the museum that's downtown. Has anybody been to the museum that's downtown?
Many times.
I strongly encourage you to go. I learned a lot. But they were telling me about a lot of the stuff they learned in school, and I thought that was really cool that they're using that heritage here in Florence to actually teach our youth, so that way when they're upcoming, they'll understand what the history is here, which, if you go through there, it talks a lot about the rodeo and how cowboys were here and how those things were made, and the Junior Parade, and that brings you to the rodeo grounds. Like, where is a good place for the rodeo grounds? Well, I was thinking, since the prison's closing, why not move the rodeo grounds over there, and you can build up shops and different things. But before that can happen, if you think about Gilbert, Queen Creek, all these surrounding towns, what did they do first? They had to annex land. They had to get the people first. So say you want a Dairy Queen, right? I like Dairy Queen too, and it's great. But you have to have the numbers first before you can have the businesses come in. So you have to have the tax-paying dollars, all those things coming in, that revenue, before you can bring in businesses. And I think that's just what a lot of the people here in Florence understand. We got to do our homework. We got to go to the museums. We got to talk to people. We got to find out what it is to bring that historic. To do the historic district, we have to bring the revenue, and we have to have the people in the town first. And I love downtown. I think it's great. But we can't keep putting money there. We got to be putting it in the outside areas to be able to bring people from Anthem and Florence Gardens and all our surrounding areas to come in and enjoy the beauty of Florence.
Thank you. Judy, tell me about the Florence's historic heritage and its importance.
One of the things that I thought was interesting that I didn't know about, which is that at the Gila River, the north part, this proper, Florence proper, used to be Mexico. And I'm like, wow. Mm-hmm. So that's amazing. We are the 6th oldest city in Arizona. That's a huge thing. When you talk about history, to our kids, we're dinosaurs. I mean, we were here before the internet, you know. So I 40. I'm old. So anyway, those are the new history, but like the rodeo, it was done in 1932 by the ranchers because they were trying to raise money for the kids. So it's the oldest sanctioned youth rodeo in the United States. That has to be preserved. Mm-hmm. It shouldn't just be preserved, it should expand and be celebrated.
Thank you. Michelle.
Sorry, I'm last. They saved the best for last, Judy. If you can't tell, I am quite the smart aleck most of the time. Very sarcastic sense of humor. Doesn't always come across so great, but you know, I try. For me, preserving our heritage and our history, we are a state of copper, cotton, citrus, climate, and cattle. And Florence is home to all of them. We are one of the original territorial prisons. And so when I think of keeping our history and our heritage, it's more than just keeping the historic Main Street alive. There are historic homes and historic buildings all throughout Florence. It is not just on Main Street. And so we have to, although those are the ones that grab our attention first, we have to remember 2 blocks away, 3 blocks away, and really strive to preserve all of Florence, because all of Florence is historic. And if we can achieve that goal, we will bring even more people to our town, because we already have thousands of people that come from Switzerland, from all over the world, because they come to learn our history. They come to see what Florence is about. And as long as we keep moving forward to preserve that, we will continue to touch people all over this world.
Okay. All right, now let's move forward and say that you guys have been elected council people. So you're on the council, and there's a lot of topics that we're all talking about right now. If you look at some of the questions we're getting from the audience, a lot of those are on those. So we're going to ask you, how do you plan to involve residents and business owners in the decision-making processes of the town? Michelle, let's start with you on this.
Dang it. Okay, don't copy my answer.
Our answers are already in the paper.
Oh, so if you're gonna compare my answer to what's in the paper, they're probably not gonna match, because like I said, whatever happened to me this morning affects how I answer today, later in the afternoon. So involving residents and businesses, I think it is probably the most important thing. I, as a resident, want my voice heard as well. So we have to have those conversations respectfully with each other. We have to be able to sit down and talk and understand that we won't always come to the same conclusion. We won't always agree, and we may, although we want the same thing, have different paths to get there. And so we have to be able to engage each other in a manner that together, even though we're so far, we feel like we're so far apart, all of us' ultimate goal is to make Florence a better place. Florence is a great place, but we all want to see it grow. We don't want to see Florence disappear by the wayside. So you have to have that communication. How do you have it though? Because, you know, we can have meetings, we can do it one-on-one. That seems to be the hardest thing, is to figure out, how do you have that communication? How do you help that resident or that business owner feel like their voice is being heard and feel like what they have to say has value? And that, I struggle with it even today, just being able to reach out to every person. Every person that has a question for me, or every person that has a concern, and sometimes it's hard to get back to them. Sometimes it's hard to have an answer, and there are people in this audience that know I try to give an answer when I have one. Sometimes I don't have one, and I just gotta like take my time to figure out those answers. But I know I'm here, and I want to talk to everybody. Time. That I should get credit for all the short answers I give.
We'll add those up at the end, Michelle. We'll go to Judy this time.
I do think that it's important I love the ability of everybody starting to come to the meetings. I think we were so locked in with the pandemic that it's nice to see people. It's nice to see everybody here tonight. It's been our council meetings have been full. People have been very active in telling us those things that are important to them, and I think those things need to continue. I do think that it needs to be done respectfully, and I know that some people feel very passionate about it, and unfortunately, passion sometimes, if it's not tempered, can get mean or sound mean, and I don't think that's constructive. So if you can give constructive criticism, that helps. And we don't have all the answers. You know, we do need each other. We need to talk to our businesses. We need to find out what they want, what they need. Now, being on council, it is important. It is finding out that a lot of things are behind the scenes. We still have that infrastructure before we can get all the different businesses that we're wanting. We need to do the things that aren't popular right now. So I want to encourage people to continue to reach out, because each one of us do listen. So thank you.
Thank you, Judy. Cassandra, how would you involve residents and business owners in all the things that are going on in the town?
So, just talking to people and just being out and listening, and I have tons of notes, so just talking to people. But as an elected official, if I was elected, is that how we're looking at it, right, in the future? Okay.
Yep.
So if I was elected as an elected official, I would want to make sure that that I take time to get all the information. If I don't know it, I don't make up an answer. I don't try to appease whoever it is. I would say, you know what, there's a lot of moving parts in that. Let me write this down and let me see what I can get an answer for you. It may take a while, but I'll make sure that you're involved in that conversation. But I believe what has been said is attending the meetings, just being aware of, like, being on the website. There's a lot of different things on there, whether it's planning and zoning, or it's businesses, or Chamber of Commerce, or whatever it is. There's a lot of things out there that we as the town members is also letting the community what's out there so they can be engaged and be active in those things that are coming.
Okay, thank you. Jose.
Thank you, Roger. Well, if elected as town council person, I'd say, hey, once a month, once a quarter, let's go meet at Mount Athos. Let's go meet at A&M. No.
All the time.
Yeah. You know, let's meet somewhere. Let's talk about what the issues are. A lot of people, in my opinion, I feel like they're intimidated sometimes when they go to a formal setting. Break bread, that's my passion, if you didn't notice. I like to break bread, and tell me what's on your mind. I'll tell you. If I know the answer, I'll tell you what it is. A lot of times, I won't. I'll tell you, I really don't know, but I try to surround myself with people that do know the answers. Subject matter experts. We have a lot of subject matter experts here in town. Let's tap into those folks. A lot of them come here to retire. I bet you we can go out there and find people that had good economic development plans where they came from. Let's not reinvent the wheel. Let's just take the folks that we have here in town and just pick their brains. And then we bring that back and we run with it and do what's best for this town. That's all.
Outstanding. Nicole, how would you involve residents and business owners in some of the decisions in the town?
So the one thing Florence has a lot of that we're blessed with is a lot of people willing to volunteer. So why not utilize them? We can have subcommittees if something big, for instance, the RV storage, feasibility study, break out, do a side group, ask the community, hey, put out a poll about it. How would you feel it, between these three options, what would you like to see? Just kind of break out, do the little subcommittees for the people that want to volunteer. Have work sessions, have work groups, have work sessions to where we can, hear ideas. If maybe the council is split, you know what? Maybe take it to the people. I think just listening to what is being said is huge. At the end of the day, we're public servants. And I think that when you pay taxes here, when you own your home here, when you live here, that should hold, just as much weight as if you're elected to be on a council. So I think just listen to the people.
Okay, we're moving again. We've gotten to the note cards, so we're starting to ask the questions from the audience now. So the first question is, and I will start with who hasn't started yet. Mr. Maldonado hasn't started yet. How do you all feel about the proposed property tax increase with inflation already at almost 9%? Why do you think it's needed?
Okay, I'm glad you asked that, because I was watching the news this morning, and in a neighboring county, if you guys didn't watch the news, they lowered 8% for homeowners, the taxes in Maricopa County. So why are we trying to raise ours if they're lowering theirs? It doesn't make sense to me. Maybe there's other stuff that I don't know about. How do we get tax revenues? We get it from businesses. If we don't have the people here to get those businesses, the money has to come from somewhere. Can we go to the prisons and say, hey, let's up the taxes a little bit, let's make the inmates pay a little bit? Maybe that's a discussion we need to have. But I think right now, where we're at right now, we're at a very trying time right now. We don't know if there's going to be a recession. People are scared of that word. But we need to do what we can do. And I think we need to not forget the little people. So, thank you.
Also, hitting on the difficult times that we have and why we might need a property tax increase, I think you hit on. So, Cassandra, how do you feel about the property tax increase with inflation already at 9%?
Oh boy, everybody's looking at me. All right. Well, being a resident here and growing up in the area, you've seen the different areas have grown in like 20 years. So I think Florence has quite a few years to go before meeting other areas. Why do we need to have a tax increase and how difficult that's going to be? It's going to hit other families, I think, harder than some more than others. But I believe you got to look at both sides of why it needs to happen opposed to not, and how it would benefit our area. So again, looking at all the different issues at hand and why it would be a benefit more than a difficult for some areas. So I think we just need to look at all the information.
Okay, so that's interesting. We've got some time for a follow-up. Having looked at the budget, going back to that, you said talking both sides. Do you mean infrastructure, the people?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
You'd like to elaborate around that?
Sure. So infrastructure-wise, like just looking at where the money would be going with the tax increase and how it would benefit the town and the people the best, because it would be money that's going to those different areas. So I think that's we just need to look at how it's going to affect the people in the long run, not just for the here and now, but if you look at it, we haven't had a tax increase in years and years, and so we've actually missed that by a long shot. But I think understanding and knowing that with that infrastructure and those changes that need to take place, we have growth coming, and we need to get ahead of that instead of be behind it.
Thank you very much. And now, Ms. Buccellato, which I like saying because I can pronounce it now. How do you feel about the proposed property tax increase with inflation going up?
I am not for it. I'm just going to put it out there. I am not for it right now. Will it need to happen one day? Absolutely. Because if we're paying more for gas, we're paying more for, everyday items for our houses and stuff, then the town is also doing the same thing to keep up with the town trucks and maintenance and repairs and all that stuff as well. So I do know it has to happen one day. I just feel like maybe this could be pushed out a little further. Everybody's paying $6 a gallon of gas, $4 a dozen of eggs, and it's hitting a lot of people really hard. We have a lot of people having to get food boxes right now because they can't even afford food. So I just feel like at this time, it's not a good time. Let's get some more of those houses in. Let's get a little bit of that income coming in, and then maybe that'll help offset it just a little bit.
Okay, so how would you go about in terms of after the budget, there's 2 weeks in which the town is mandated to do a property tax levy, that we can't hold it for 6 months. How would you handle that?
So I spoke about this the other night at the council meeting, and I educated myself. I asked a couple questions about it. I asked about 459, if that could affect it, and it was explained to me about the 2-week thing. But I just feel like we can offset it somehow. We have to be able to find it somewhere. We have a pretty good-sized budget, and I know we've been having to borrow from places to get that because of the 459. But I just feel like there's certain places we could probably pull a little bit from to offset that 97,000 or to offset that amount of money that we'll need right now. We got to give and take just like we're doing in our everyday lives. We're having to adjust here. May not be able to go out to eat. Okay, then don't go out to eat this week because we need to pay double for gas. So I just feel like right now, with everything the way it is and everybody struggling somehow, it's just not the right time.
Okay, thank you very much. Ms. Cortez, you are on council right now, so you are facing this issue of making this decision.
Yay, me! So I typically am not a supporter of tax increases. Even though I understand why they have to happen, I typically don't support them because it affects me too. It's my dollar too that's going out the door. I already think I pay a lot in property taxes, but when I compare it to where I came from, I pay not a lot in property taxes. But I also lived in a different area. It is difficult because if we continue to put things on, so I can argue two sides, that's what's funny about me. And you'll never know which one I really support. If we continue to put things on hold, though, we can't see progress and we can't see the growth that we need. So yeah, property taxes are going to be it sucks for our book, and it sucks for bills and things like that. Gas is expensive. I don't need eggs, so thank God, because $4 is crazy to me. So it's really bad timing for all of us. But when is the right timing? Because what might be the right time for me may not be the right time for you. So that's the balancing act, is how long does the town wait to raise those taxes that it's convenient for our residents? Because our residents are always going to say, it's not a convenient time for you to raise my taxes. I can't afford taxes. We'll hold for you. Just kidding. So it's it's a difficult decision. I don't like to raise taxes because it does affect me. It affects my neighbors. It affects the people that I know and love that are on a very tight budget, and $5 extra a year makes a huge impact on what they can and cannot do. It's just hard, and it's hard to find it somewhere else. It's hard to say, okay, well, what do we cut out? Do we cut out a position? Well, whose position is going to be cut out? Do we tell our fire department that they can't have yet again another item that they would like? So it's just difficult. Thank you, Roger.
Thank you. Hey, Mrs. Hughes, you're also on the council facing this decision. What are your thoughts?
I don't like to, I don't really want to do this either. It's not something that anyone looks forward to. I do think that the employees, their retention and their compensation is a huge need for us right now. And I'm not in favor, but I'm not in favor of losing more police officers, more firefighters, more people that are needful for our town. So that would be where I would have to stand, as if we're going to lose more employees, then I do believe maybe then it's time to put a small property tax so that we can at least put the bridge the gap.
Got it? Okay, thank you very much. Another of our audience questions. What is your understanding of Prop 459, and are you for or against it? We'll start with Michelle.
So the easiest way for me to explain 459 so that it makes sense to me is that it's like you have a savings account and you're saving up all this money, and then you go to take it and the bank says, oh, wait, you've got to leave $1,000 in your bank account. You can't take it all, but that's my money. I put it there, so why can't I spend it all? Nope, you can't do it. So when I think of the proposition, that's what I think of. It's money that the town has earned through taxes, through revenue, through our whatever we're doing to earn the money. It's the money that the town has earned, but the state is preventing us from spending that money. So when we can't spend that money, we have to go borrow the money that we want to spend. Well, we all know what happens when you borrow money. You have interest rate, and interest rates are not cheap, not for the town, not for me as a resident, not for me as a business owner. Interest rates are interest rates, and the money that we are spending to borrow money is astronomical when you think about it. And then when you think about we got to raise taxes, well, we got to raise taxes because we had to borrow money to spend this money. And so for me, I don't even know as a council member if I'm allowed to say how I feel. As a council member, I am not allowed to say if I support or don't support it, but that is how I look at it, as it's money we already have. The state is telling us we can't spend it, so we're asking the voters to tell the state that, yes, we can spend the money that we've brought in.
Cassandra, same question for you, and I think you can say whether you're for or against it. What's your understanding about this proposition, and what are some of the thinking behind it?
All right, well, I'm going to refer to my notes here that I got off the website for 459. So if you don't mind, I'll just read from that. Are we good? All right, perfect. So Proposition 459 in a nutshell. So it talks about it was a expenditure limit back in 1979. So if you think about that, we're in year 2022. So it needs to be updated from what I understand. The increase, we are capped right now temporarily based on the money that is in our budget. So currently the town is operating on this prior budget from 1979, and it needs to be adjusted to the permanent base adjustment is how it's termed. A lot of people talk about it as home rule, but home rule is the permanent base adjustment does not raise or impose taxes. It does not allow the town to spend more than it receives in revenue. Voting yes on the permanent base adjustment allows the town to set balanced budgets on the local level without holding a home rule election every 4 years. So it's, again, what Ms. Cortez said, is we're allowed to use the money that we have already in the bank. So if you think about it, if I go to the bank and I want to buy something that's, let's say, $2,000, okay? I can't spend that $2,000. They're going to tell me, you can spend $1,500, but you have to fund $500. Well, why do I have to do that? Because I have a limitation on the budget of what I can spend. Although the budget's here, it's waiting for me to use, but because it was set in 1979, I can't use it. So I have to go out and get a government bond, or I have to pay interest based on this because I'm not able to use that.
Can we wait until, excuse me? Mr. Maldonado, what is your understanding of Prop 459, and are you for or against?
Well, I'll answer it here at the end. I'm looking at it like there's going to be some folks that are against it, right? You know who they are. Why are they against it if they are against it? Well, probably because in the past there might have or might have not been any transparency in things happening. Maybe they might not have been involved in knowing what was going to happen. But if you become involved and know what's going on, you pay attention to the budget and show up at those meetings like folks showed up a couple of weeks ago, you know what's going on. There's transparency. If you're not there and you're not keeping abreast of what's going on, it's hard for you to keep abreast with what's going on. And people might not feel like they have that say in where the money's going. I think it's a good idea. Why? I don't want to give my money to the bank, my interest rate. That's the way I look at it. I'd rather use the money that we have already. It's a smart way of doing business, in my opinion, versus paying the bank interest rates. The bank's already making making money on your money. So why am I going to give them more money? Let's keep our money and put it towards things like Territory Square. Thank you.
Hey, Ms. Pucciolato.
One more time.
Hashtag Territory Square.
There went my train of thought. It's over there in the Gila right now.
You may get you back on track?
Right, yes.
Okay. What's your understanding of Proposition 459, and are you for or against it?
I am for 459. I've done my research. I attended a training on it. I have been looking at the articles, reading the minutes. I have been doing my research on it, and it doesn't incur any cost to the residents. If we have a budget, we can't spend any more than we get in, and with the growth coming, we're going to obviously need a bigger budget. So I am for 459 because it doesn't cost any of us any more than we're already giving.
Okay, thank you very much. And finally, Ms. Hughes. I know you can't say whether or not you're up for it, but your understanding of it.
Oh, I think it's laid out very, very simple. I think it speaks for itself. Lisa, making sure that I don't do anything wrong.
Okay. I think we have time for one more question, Roger. Okay, we are at the last question, again, another audience question. And I will start with, it's like a sniper fire here. I will start with Cassandra. I saw you point to Mo, but no. Why should voters choose you to represent them on the town council?
Well, I am what you see. I'm very real. I'm very transparent. I'm very honest. I'll tell you like it is. I have nothing to hide from you. If I don't have the answer, I will go research it and I will go find it for you. I like to be real. My hair's red, and I've tried to wash it out since I was 9, and I've tried things my mother was very upset at me for using under the counter. Again, I'm just being transparent. So there's things that I've tried that work, and there's things that you try that don't work. And if there's a mistake, I will own it and learn from it and move forward from it. Just sitting in the same chair you are, I put my pants on one leg at a time. I raise my family, and I want to do the best I can. So.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Maldonado, your time. Why should voters vote for you for town council?
3 core values that the Air Force taught me: integrity, service before self, and excellence in all we do. I've done that all my life, and I want to bring that to the people of Florence now. I want to unite us. I want to make this a place where our kids want to stay, our grandkids want to stay. I want to make it a place where people look at it and say, wow, Florence, I want to go live there. I want to get out of this chaos in XYZ town, because that's what's happening at these other towns. It's a little bit chaotic sometimes. And this is the place where we can make it happen. We have the building blocks. And I want to be the one to help bring us to that fluidity. So, thank you.
Hey, Ms. Buccellato, again, why should voters choose you to represent them on town council?
I have so much pride for this town. Going to school here, growing up here, choosing to work here, live here, raise my children here. I want to give my children something to be proud of, and I want them to feel safe in their hometown. I want them to have things to do in their hometown. I love that when we go pick up our kids from school, 6 other kids, well, we take as many that can have seatbelts on because, you got to stay legal. And they jump in the car too, and we drop them all off at home. I like that feeling. I like that sense of community. And I think that is a huge thing here. And I don't have a problem speaking out when I'm, opposed to something, but I also don't have a problem asking for more information to educate myself either. So I've always been, and I will always be, for Florence. Thank you.
Okay. This question is a little tricky for our 2 incumbents here. They've already chosen you, but why should they choose you again to represent them on city council? Michelle?
Oh, I thought you were going to spice it up. Judy first. Man, well, for me, man, this one is a hard one sometimes. I think I've done what I said I would do in the 4 years that I've been here. I came in to ruffle some feathers. I came in to go against the grain and stop the status quo of what a lot of our residents felt was going on. They felt that a lot of decisions were being made behind closed doors. They felt that a lot of decisions were decided before it ever got to the voters. And we've had great council members. That's not saying that the people that have been here weren't great. It's just that the people did not feel like we were being straightforward. And we're struggling still to get people to understand that there are certain things we can't talk about. And I couldn't tell you how I feel, like how I vote or something like that. There's a lot of rules that you don't know exist until you go behind that curtain. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I can't do that. I can't do this. Oh, shoot, why can't I do that? So there's a lot of times that I feel very muzzled, and it frustrates me. And my frustration comes out a lot of times in other ways. I'm very cantankerous, if you know that, and I'm sarcastic, but I am that person that will fight for the person who does not have the voice or is too scared or too intimidated to show up and be the person saying, wait a minute, I don't like this. I'll fight for you. If you give me the opportunity to fight for you, I will do it. And so in the next 4 years, I want to continue what I've already done. I want to help continue to grow the town of Florence. I want to help to continue to preserve our heritage, to continue to give people pride in why they live here. We have some wonderful residents, some residents that are fantastic. And I just love Florence. Right now, Roger's not my favorite person.
You got the chirp of death there. Sorry about that. And now Ms. Hughes, facing the same situation as Ms. Cordes, you're an incumbent. So again, why should voters choose to reelect you?
I think that coming on at the same time, we learned what was behind the curtain and all the things that we thought we knew, and then we found out we didn't understand that why a lot of people couldn't say anything or they didn't speak their minds. And we basically, I think it's changed in the 4 years, even though we've went through a pandemic. I think it would take a long time when we first got on to find out what the problem was, where the root was to a problem, because we were getting several different answers. And so I think that we're at a point, we're going to be bringing on a new town manager, that picking the right person is so important. And having that person that's transparent, that's teachable, that's approachable to the people. And so I think I would like to be that person to help guide that new person in here and set sail for the future.
Okay, and Roger's pulling the hook on me, so it's time to wrap this up. So I'll let him take over. Thank you so much. Really appreciate your time, all of you.
Thank you.
Okay, it looks like we went over to overtime, and I know there's still some questions from the audience that hopefully you'll stick around a little bit and maybe talk individually. There were some questions that were into individuals that I didn't want to ask the whole group, and there's some other questions that I just didn't get to. I know we had some follow-up questions over here that maybe you can ask the individuals as we end. But I thank you all for taking the time on this Wednesday night, even though we're still coughing, and we'll find you cough drops, I promise. But thank you all the candidates, and we appreciate your time, and we hope that you do well, and we look forward to the election. I hope everybody votes and continue to come out. We'll have other forums, and we'll have other opportunities to ask these candidates questions. So please come out and support the town council and all the other things that are going on in town. It really, your voice really does matter. So on that, a big round of applause for the candidates again. And thank you, Florence Independent, for help putting this together. We appreciate you and putting it all together. Thank you. So get out and vote. Thank you.